All right. Welcome on in, everybody, to the first game of week 2 in Entities Arena. I'm your host, Aradori, and here we have our co-host, the wonderful Travesty.
Hello. How are you doing today?
I'm having a pretty good night so far. It's only 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so we have a whole lot ready to get going. We have 2 games today. I'm excited for that.
I'm excited for that too. Who do we have playing for in tonight's matchup?
Tonight's matchup is Alter versus Purge. Last week we didn't get to see Alter play, but this is going to be exciting because we've already seen Purge play in week 1 last week. They played versus Celestials and they had a really good first 3 games, and then Celestials came out of nowhere with Pinhead at the end.
I remember watching that matchup. That was a really good game 4, and Purge had a really good outing in that first game. So hopefully, let's see if they get a different result in this week's match.
Absolutely. And I think it's gonna be quite interesting as we're starting tonight already with the ping test fairly quickly, which is always a good thing to see.
We love to get to those ping checks very quickly. Just get them in and get them out so that we can get to the actual matchup.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if you've seen, but the maps for tonight are Dead Dog Saloon and Temple of Purgation.
I have seen those are two very different matches. So we're gonna have some interesting gameplay. I want to say, especially with the killers that they're gonna choose for Temple of Purgation.
Yeah, Temple of Purgation's a really difficult map to choose like the right killer for, especially because the size of it can either be like the make or break for every killer.
Hmm. Definitely, because that map definitely requires a killer that has a lot of mobility, and so that limits your choices drastically. So whatever the teams choose for that specific map, I feel if they want to get a 4K, they really do need to bring out a killer that's going to be able to patrol gens very quickly, something that's going to go from place to place. And by the way, I'm already just looking at the screen, and I love the new Blight cosmetic that came out from the Amazon Prime. It's so good. I love it.
The new Blight cosmetic, I think, is like my favorite thing to come out of like all of the information like that from the past like 2 or 3 weeks. I remember it getting spoiled like a month or two ago or something, and like I was like, when are they gonna release this in the store? They've released the Ghostface one, they've released the Spirit one. When are we getting the Blight?
Yeah, and it turns out that's a feature for being an Amazon Prime gamer. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I was like, oh, this is so sick. I haven't used it yet, but I've got it in my repertoire, and I'm like, oh, I want to go out and play with this so bad.
Yeah, I absolutely think it is probably one of my favorite new cosmetics for Blight. The having the winter themed cosmetic, for a killer that was released in Halloween, like I think that's like probably like one of the coolest like things that you can do, especially when he's got these icicles sticking out of his back.
Like the design is just so interesting. The icicles coming out the bag. But I'm also intrigued by the icicles and like the blight serum coming out of the eyes, and I think the mouth as well. And it's just it's so gory, but it's interesting. I really like it. So
Yeah, I'm thinking we might actually see a Blight in the one matchup on Temple of Purgation because how good he is at traversing the map. If the score, is in the right spot to bring a Blight.
yeah, like personally, I think that blight is a very good It's a very good killer for that map. You know, if the score is in their favor and they're able to bring it out, this is one of those maps that Blight could do very well with. And you may want to save some of the other ones because there's not many maps where you go, this really needs to be a Blight game.
Yeah, if they bring Blight on Temple of Purgation, it's probably a little bit of a safer choice than bringing one of your S tiers on Dead Dog Saloon.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So I'm going to talk really quickly about the killers that we've already seen from Purge. So far, Purge has already brought out Demogorgon and Huntress. So they have one more use of those each if they wanted to. I don't think we're gonna see on Temple. I don't think we're gonna see Demo. I think we may see a Blight. And since Alter came in after the first week, they've already used their Clown and their Trickster, so they have a lot of options that are available to them at this current point. I mean, could we maybe see twins as well if mobility is not a thing we're looking for? Maybe we're looking for gen slowdown to buy you as much time as we can, given the size of the map. That could be a possibility as well. There's a lot of things that could be played out here.
Yeah, I usually think that the most common picks for Temple of Purgation tend to be Hillbilly and Oni, purely because they have their dash that they can both do. Just get somewhere fast, get it down, and then if you get a kill early in the game, then you probably have won that as your killer.
Yeah. I love Hillbilly on this map. It's so big. Granted, there are a lot of obstacles that can get in the way, but if you have a good Billy and you put them on Temple, they can pull up some good results.
Yeah. Knowing the killers that you have on your team and knowing like how good everybody is and how practiced they are on each of these maps can be like a really big like factor in figuring out, what do we bring in every single situation?
Hmm.
Because maybe if like the scores are like super close together, bringing Hillbilly might not be a bad idea if you know that your Hillbilly can bring it back for you. You know, if they can put you in the lead on that.
Exactly. I think a lot of these teams have the wherewithal to know these are the maps that we're going in with. We're practicing to see what killers we have in our repertoire are going to be best for these maps. And God forbid if you have a hillbilly that can do a 12 hook 4K on Temple of Purgation and just completely clear up the shop. That's something you're just gonna put into that immediately because you're like, nope, you know what you're doing. Go ahead, take it, have fun.
I always love watching Hillbilly games because you always see people who are the most confident in competitive settings playing Hillbilly. They always go for curves and like they might not always work out because of the specific loop, but they always style. They always do things that you wouldn't see any other killer doing.
Yeah, they're the one killer that when I see them do a curve, I'm just like, please, did I get to the other side in time? Please, did I make it there? Am I faster than one of their engravings? No. God dang it, so close.
I definitely have seen my fair share of competitive hillbillies play on Temple, and even though it is a good map for hillbilly, probably more than other killers, he does kind of struggle with the bushes and the trees at the bottom of the map, which can have oddly shaped hitboxes.
Yeah, that's part of the downfall of like bringing a Billy on that type of map. It's just there's just a lot of obstacles with some of them with weird hitboxes that can really get in the way and slow down the momentum that the hillbilly can have.
Absolutely, which is why I think it tends to be a more common choice for hillbillies to bring Noed, so this way that they know, hey, even if I only get like 1 or 2 kills in like the first half of the game, I can then slow down the rest of the game with Noed and No Way Out, confirm another down, and maybe if you have really good RNG, like maybe both of your exit gates are right next to each other.
Yeah. No, it is just so important for any hillbilly player to have. It's so crucial to have it because you really need the snowball effect to kick in, especially when you get to the end game and hopefully you've killed 1 or 2 people by that point. Snowball potential is really what the Billy needs in order to close out the 4K.
Absolutely. I think maybe if they don't bring Hillbilly, what if the team is like, hey, we don't have a Hillbilly, we don't have an Oni, but we do have a Hag player. I've seen Hags destroy on Temple of Purgation. It's not one of the more favorited like maps by competitive Hag mains, but
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely one of the maps that I wouldn't be surprised, like, maybe somebody pulls out Hag and, they might not want to use their twins this early in one of their 2 twins in this early in the season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could definitely see Hag being a possibility, right? The ability to sit down your traps and then to go be able to patrol other areas and really set up your game plan. Because you'll find that a lot of people that go against Hag, they know if you set off a trap, just run away. And if the Hag can really slow the game down, especially when you disable the trap and run away, because they're having to teleport back, reset their trap, go back. That's time that person is not working on a gen. So in the Hag's point of view, they're putting in the work. It could
Yeah,
be dangerous, but there is some potential in that area.
there have been Hags that have 4K'd on other maps in competitive recently, which is incredibly uncommon, as she's already not a really popular pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the other team is not expecting Hag, and they might not have practiced versus her, they might not be prepared, and she might, like, pull out a 4K, maybe even before 3 gens have been finished, because of the value that she can get from Corrupt Intervention on such a large map.
Yeah, she's Hag would definitely get a lot of value if they bring in corrupt intervention. Uh, I think that even if you don't let's say for example you don't end up getting a 4K, I think a 2K is very respectable for Hag, especially on Temple of Purgation.
Absolutely. There's also a chance that maybe they're like, if they do have a Hag player, and I know it's not common. You probably won't see one in most tournaments, but if they do, they might actually prefer to use Hag on Dead Dog Saloon because of Hag's ability to control the main building and the gallows gen, preventing that any 3 gen from being broken. And
Hmm.
with the density of the grass in the one zone by the gallows, she might actually be able to use her traps to, mind game the survivors a little bit better, and she can use camera swing to her advantage.
She really can. Like Hag is one of those players that if you get a really good 3 gen, she's very hard to disrupt that. It's incredibly difficult to try and beat Hag in a 3 gen situation because you point out the ability to place the traps, and with the density of the area around the gallows, you can get some really sneaky traps that go off, and hopefully get some ITHs in there, and hopefully be able to hook in that 3 gen. It's incredibly strong.
Yeah. Hag, I think, is probably like, if you're prepared, she might actually be like the right choice on Dead Dog Saloon. Alternatively, could be an M1 killer, just like Pinhead, as we saw last week. Could be Demogorgon, because Demogorgon's really good at dealing with the uh, so many of the breakable doors,
Mm-hmm.
which can really hinder most M1s.
And let's also not forget that in this specific league, Demo has access to Lycan as well, and that's become a very popular add-on for the demo players out here. The ability to go through their portals and get barbecue information as to where other people are, and that's valuable in this type of setting.
Absolutely. I think, how many demos have been played already? I think there have been 2. If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think at least 2. I'm actually looking at the killer tracker right now. Three demos
3
have
have
been
been
played.
used.
Yeah, 3 have been used.
And I believe all
More,
of them have brought Lycan.
I think all of them brought Lycan. I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to go back and look at the actual games, but I'm pretty sure in all 3 of them we saw Lycan.
It's going to be pretty interesting knowing that you can bring Lycan on a map like Dead Dog Saloon or even Temple of Purgation. Like, even though it's a little bit less likely that we're going to see Demo on Temple, with that add-on being allowed, there might actually be somebody who picks Demogorgon on that map.
I mean, it's definitely possible. The thing that we know is that if, for example, Purge brings out that Demogorgon this week, that's it for the rest of the season for the demo puppy for them. So the question is, do they feel like bringing out that specific killer and then eliminating all uses of it for the rest of the season is worth it or not? They've probably talked about that this entire week. And we're either going to see, they thought that it would be okay. Maybe Demo doesn't get the best value in some of the other maps later on in the season, and they're okay with using it. Or they go, we maybe Demo has better options for future maps, and with allowing Lycan for this particular league, maybe we could hold on to it for a different situation.
Yeah. Knowing what maps they have coming up in the league though could be a big determination in what killers they decide to bring, especially because, as you said already, they only have one more use of Demogorgon.
And so people. I don't think it's going to become that much of an issue in the first 2-3 weeks. I think it'll start to become an issue when we get already halfway through and we're going, okay, we're starting to lose some killers already. Let's make sure that we're utilizing the killers that we do have, to what their strong suit is.
Absolutely. Seeing I'm looking at the rest of the maps for them that they're going to be playing on, and it looks like it's going to be Azrov's Resting Place, Gas Heaven, Ironworks of Misery, Shelter Within Groaning Storehouse. I don't know if any of those are actually particularly great for Demogorgon, which might actually be an encouraging factor for tonight.
It could be. I bet this team has already looked at that, and they probably made the educated guess, or the educated guess that Demo may actually just be the most viable on this map for them. So hopefully we find out soon, because God, I want to know. I want to know what their game plan has been for this entire week.
Yeah, seeing 2 teams, one of which we haven't seen yet play on stream, and the other one who we've seen some absolutely amazing games from. I think that this is going to be a really good introduction to what Alter is bringing to Entities Arena and what Purge is going to continue to show at Entities Arena.
Mm-hmm. And with this being, the first season of the Entities Arena, I'm not exactly sure if the teams are aware of each other, if they've seen themselves play before. So this is going to be interesting because there's a lot of teams that are very familiar with one another. They understand that, oh, this team over here, I've seen them play in a lot of comp play. We kind of know what killers that they use and like to bring, so we're going to plan around it. I don't think we're going to see that much happening between these two teams.
Yeah. Maybe if I was Alta right now, and knowing that you've already seen Purge put up really good scores with M1 killers, I would be worried about how good they might be with S tier killers even.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to put, maybe you don't want to put that close of a tie, like a score, almost tying the score between each of your games, to where maybe Purge can pull it out at the end and they can bring an S tier killer and entirely change the fate of the game.
It is possible.
Yeah, I would be considering that if I was Alter right now.
I would be considering that too. And I would think that Alter has prepared this week, has come up with a game plan of, okay, we're going on these maps. They probably know what their team has done. And they're just going to go, here's our game plan, and we're just going to kind of stick to it. If they feel like they really want to take a victory, you may see an S tier come out of them, and it'll be their one use only S tier for the season.
Yes, and I don't know. Maybe if I was either of these teams right now, thinking about what can we bring to Dead Dog Saloon that we can't bring on Temple of Purgation, and vice versa. Because when you're playing killer first, or which means you're going to be playing killer last as well, maybe you have a very different strategy if you're playing killer second and third.
Because that first game really is about setting the tone. You're really trying to figure out what the other team's plan is. You're trying to figure out how strong they are, and you often find that in the first killer game for each teams, they're kind of testing the water to see what's going on and how things are going.
Yeah, and knowing that Dead Dog Saloon can either be a really good map or a really bad map for killer, depending on your RNG. With certain totem spawns, certain hook spawns, and certain gen spawns, we've already seen both games on Dead Dog Saloon this season have had a hook in the dead center of the map, and I believe one of them had a gen with it.
Oh, that's so unlucky. It's so unlucky.
And the drop down from main building being right there is incredibly rough for certain killers, and in other cases, really bad for survivors.
Yeah, yes.
I just popped up real quick to say that also we're going to switch out of survivor, but we're not going to do another ping test because we're on a time schedule, even though we're not to run later than we want to because Purge don't want to play late.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
But knowing that the RNG can be such a huge factor in Dead Dog Saloon, and I would say probably not as big of an issue on Temple of Purgation because of the spread of the tiles, and generally the totems aren't super well hidden. Maybe we see Pop Goes the Weasel on one, or if not both maps, instead of Ruin Undying.
I think that given the totem spawn locations on Dead Dog, we may be more inclined to see hex totems being a factor versus on Temple of Purgation, just because the totems are very well hidden, and unless you're bringing in perks on the survivor side to really counter it, it could be rather difficult if you don't know the totem spots. And I would agree with the sentiment that we'll probably see pop on the Temple of Purgation maps because the totem spawns are very easy for survivors to spot. There's not that many good hiding locations for them. So it makes it seem that in the first 15 seconds of the trial, you would lose at least one of your hexes.
Yeah, I would be. I don't know if you've experienced it, but spawning in immediately and seeing the notification that one of your hexes has been cleansed is not something that is one of the more pleasant feelings in Dead by Daylight.
Oh my god, it's the worst. It's the worst thing because you're just like, yeah, I just got in. All right, let's take a look at my 3 gen and a totem's gone.
Yeah, and on my team, my teammates have always told me I have the best luck because I always spawn directly on a hex totem in probably about 80% of the games that I play, which is
God.
an absurd amount.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But knowing that the hex totems are probably out of the window for Temple, may we see Deadlock with Pop Goes the Weasel? I think Deadlock's a very popular perk right now, and not very many teams have practiced how to play around Deadlock. Some teams will 99 one gen, and then go finish 4 other gens. So this way they can just pop that one.
Yeah, because that's sort of the way that like you counter the deadlock.
Alternatively, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but if 2 gens pop simultaneously, you can get around the deadlock on either of the gens.
Really?
Yeah, and with Discord latency, that can be really rough, because if you have somebody who's working on those gens calling it out, the time between calling it out and both of you hearing it and finishing the gens, one person should be completing it before, which would cause the deadlock to go over there. But if you have somebody who's not working on either of those gens, calling out, 3, 2, 1, and then they both pop the gens at the exact same moment, then you don't have to worry about the Discord latency.
Yeah. Oh god, that would be so infuriating for me. Like as a killer to see that, I'm just like, oh man, come on, all right, gotta love Dead by Daylight.
Especially like those last 2 gens. Everybody knows that the first 3 are probably the easiest, but it's those last 2, and if you can coordinate those specifically to be perfectly in sync, and even more so, if you can coordinate your adrenaline to be in chase, to take the down and then immediately pop both the gens, get the adrenaline up, it's not only something that I think can win the game, if done in the correct timing, but it's probably clip worthy.
that's like so chat. What I'm hearing is that if that particular situation pops up, make sure to go ahead and clip it, and then we're gonna just blast it all over the place because that's just poggers. That is so poggers right there.
Absolutely.
I just realized I am way too old to be saying poggers. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but this is where I am.
Well, I have good news for everyone, because we are starting to load into the very first game. Purge is playing Killer on Dead Dog Saloon. And we have Alter playing Survivor.
Uh-oh.
That's only 4 Bloody Party streamers, which is unfortunate.
Or bloodied blueprints.
But bloodied blueprints, that's what
We're not going for blood points here. Not in this league.
which
That means someone is going to be getting a 2-point penalty, if I remember correctly.
I do believe it is a 2-point penalty. Yes.
The question is just going to be, okay, we're already starting 2 points behind. That's okay. We'll make up for it. We'll make up for it by getting our 4Ks or getting our 4 outs.
Which, again, getting a 4 out on this map is either going to be really, really easy or really bad because of the depending on which team you are. It's going to be really easy or really difficult.
I think the first 2 minutes tell the tale, right? The first 2 minutes are what tells us what the pace of the match.
All right, and we're loading in here. We see this is the plague.
I was gonna mention plague could be a possibility here. But let's go ahead and check out the gen spread, and they're already spraying their vile purge on the non-corrupted gens, so that hopefully they can get the sickness going on them early. I think we have a split corruption. Am I correct in that?
I believe so. Yeah, because it does look like there is one gen on the other side of the road at the end of the houses that's corrupt. While the other 2 are, I believe, the gallows, or the one next to the gallows and the one over by the water tower.
Yeah, so it looks like Dave decided, Mr. Dave, who's playing for Purge, decided that Plague would be the best one, and they've already found a survivor.
I didn't even see what they were looking at first, but that is really good for them to find somebody just hiding in the grass there. And that's a really fast down.
Oh my god, like the effectiveness of their vomit has already gotten them into the broken status effect, and has already resulted in a hook with corruption intervention still being up.
And even better for our killer, this is the middle hook in the middle of the map. They're able to defend the gen at main building. Our survivors have actually now seen 2 of our killer's perks with corrupt intervention, and they are getting a debuff from Thanatophobia.
Which is really good when you think about it. What the plague is doing is incentivizing them in order to cleanse. Because that 5% is a huge factor, and we're seeing the Zarina going through, and they have the borrowed time, and Mr. Dave has decided they're going to continue in the pursuit, and they are chasing at main building.
Yes, and I think that we saw a lithe from the Zarina after she vaulted inside. Oh, there was Dead Hard.
No, it wasn't Dead Hard, and they threw a firecracker, and it blinded them. Oh, that's so good, but we do see a gen pop, so that's good. The team is already putting pressure on the plague. If they're going to commit to the tunnel, they're going to get gens out, and they're still going.
We do see a 3rd perk from the plague coming in here, which is Deadlock on the gen by the middle.
And so with that, we do know what gen has the most progress right now. So they're going to go ahead and put them back on the hook. And so they will be the only person that is on death hook. But there's at least one generator already down, so they seem to be in a pretty good position at this point.
It's still anybody's game, especially that's another infection for her. Just getting that at the last second. But there's somebody who's injured and somebody who's starting to get infected. There was Pop Goes the Weasel getting revealed.
And so I think with that we know all of the perks at this point. We saw corrupt at the beginning. The survivor saw the thanatophobia. God, that's such a hard word for me. They saw the deadlock, and Pop goes the weasel. So they know the entire build, and they picked up some of their special juice, and
Yes.
so they're already using it.
And I don't know if you noticed, but that was a dead hard during the corrupt purge that was being used, which would lead me to think that the David unhooked without borrowed time.
And already, we have someone out of this game. 3 hooks, 1 survivor gone. We do get another gen did pop. So they're at least busting out the generators. And they decide to use their Pop Ghost and Weasel at the main building to make sure they keep that down. And I didn't notice we have its regen over here.
Oh my goodness, this could be really good because they still have the. No, they just used the middle hook. Never mind. They used the middle hook to kill the Zarina.
I wonder if they have another hook nearby that they may be able to continue to put pressure out. But it looks like they're gonna collect from their pool again, and they're going on the prowl to hopefully find one of the survivors that is in the broken status effect. And they do see a survivor with scratch marks and blood.
Ooh, that's the David. And we know that there's no Dead Hard left, so this is going to be an interesting chase. If this isn't Bounce Landing or Live, this could be really rough running main building.
It can, and it looks like he decided to run away from main building and go to Shack, but he does go down. Question is, where is basement?
Oh, basement's right here because of the bloodied blueprints. But she's going to choose to hook in the street instead, which is another hook right next to the middle.
Actually, I prefer this one. I prefer this particular location instead of choosing Shack. And I prefer...
Yeah, because it can allow you to get somebody out there. Oh! The very last frame of the corrupt Purge.
Oh, and they decide that they're going to go ahead and use their Pop Goes the Weasels because they're going to try and hook this person right here, and they're going to hope that there's another hook in their 3-gen. Yeah. So they'll have another pop at their disposal.
This is the Killers, I believe, their 5th hook now, and every survivor is injured. They still have 1 pool left, now 2 pools because we've seen 2 people cleanse already. Could this be another cleanse on the Ace?
Probably. You may be getting to a point as the survivors, you're seeing the number of pools available. You may be going, we may want to try and force... Sorry. May want to try and force the activation of their special anyway, so that they have more pools available. They may be considering that, but I'm not sure because those pools are very far away from this 3-gen.
Yeah, knowing that you have used some of the further pools from the hook, maybe that's where they're gonna decide to take chase from now on if they are planning that out in advance. And it does look our Michaela here is going to be pushed into second state. David is working on the infected gen on main building.
Yeah, and already they're going into the broken status effect. That's huge. So now all 3 players are injured, and we see a gen go off, but it's not in the 3-gen, and so Deadlock has already stopped that main building gen from continuing its progression, and now David is in chase at the main building.
Yes, but he did have a live, so that will allow him to get the unhook here, but not without exchanging the hook state, and Michaela's gonna get tunneled.
This was a 1-for-1. The thing that we don't know, and we see a borrow time hit, so Michaela's able to get some distance and go away. One of the things we don't know, we didn't see a decisive strike go off with Zarina, so we're not quite sure
who has it.
Exactly.
I do believe we also haven't seen a deliverance yet.
Exactly. I mean, at this point, with everyone already being in broken status effect, how are we going to know who has deliverance or not?
I believe the only person who could have it left would be the ace, who just cleansed and is probably going to be going for the unhook while this Michaela unfortunately gets downed. Not too far from the hook.
Yeah, not too far, and we don't see a DS going off there, so either they ran out of time or they don't have it, but they do go on the hook, and that's death hook for them.
That is the second death, and the ace, we find him over here at main building.
And Ace is bringing out his best, 80s or 70s workout clothing.
He's all ready for his aerobics.
He was going on a chase of a lifetime, but does get downed by the plague. Rest in pepperoni.
Gets hooked back on this hook at the end of the street here. And there's
Now,
David.
The good news for Alter is that they do have, and they got to get off the hook. So Ace was the one
With
that
deliverance.
had the deliverance, which we can probably assume if they had deliverance, then they also had decisive strike. But oh my god, that play from David was really good.
Yeah, pulling out the live there to make sure that he does not get down, giving the ace more time to either prepare for trying to find Hatch or trying to finish up one of the gens on main building, which does look like that's where the scratch marks are.
I think so. Like me personally, I'm not a big fan of taking yourself into the 3-gen if you know it's a 3-gen, because right now they're going to be able to disrupt any progress that you might get in dismantling that 3-gen.
Exactly. There's the ace working on the gallows gen again. It does sound like it's about 50% of the way, but he gets pushed off of it.
It does, and I don't think we've seen an unbreakable, so that is a perk that's still on the table at this moment.
Which could be the difference between 1 or 2 outs at this point.
Exactly. Right now, the ace is keeping the plague very busy, but not busy enough, as they did just get down by Mr. D.
Yes. There is a chance on this map, because of the density of the grass, as we were talking about earlier, that you don't find your slug. Even if because I don't think that Unbreakable is on the table for David anymore. Because of the amount of time that's passed, I think that there's a chance. Oh, never mind. Our David over here doing some moonwalking crawling.
You know what? Beautiful technique. I would give it a perfect 10 out of 10 in execution.
And there we go. Purge has gotten a 4K at 2 gens left with Plague on Dead Dog Saloon. And I believe that's a 26-point difference.
I think the scorekeeper needed to put one more gen completed, because it should
Alter.
be, yeah, I think it should be a 24-point lead. But that's okay. That's game 1. We still got 3 more games to go.
Anybody's game still. So, we talked earlier about an S tier possibly coming out. Now, usually when you see huge, point gaps, 30-point gaps, you want to be bringing out, one of your S tiers, if you have the option to. So, I think, if I'm Alter, knowing that you're close to having a, almost a 30-point gap there, I think that they bring out an S tier. They might bring out Nurse because of how easy she is to defend the 3-gen on this map. Defending main building and gallows might be a little bit difficult for some killers, but knowing that your Nurse, if you have a Nurse main, she could defend every single gen really easily.
Oh, you know what I just realized? I realized it would have been 6 points, but the person that didn't bring in the bloody blueprint was a survivor, and that was a 2 point penalty.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
that was.
That explains it.
So that is where the 2 points difference is coming from. I need to take some water. I'm about to die over here.
Well, it's a good thing that you are not in the match playing versus the Plague right now. So please try and stay healthy. We don't want you to have to cleanse at one of her fountains.
You know what? I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. But this is how I was feeling when I was playing on Sunday, and I was playing in the final game between Deadheads and How Did We Get Here. I was feeling like this. I was like, oh god, all right.
Well, the good news is it does sound like you're getting better. So I'm very happy to hear that.
I'm much better, much better. But so now, let's talk about the mindset that Alter is going to be going in with. Say you're on Alter's team right now, and you just saw that first match. What are you telling your team? What are you telling your killer to keep themselves motivated? To keep them with high energy so that they can go in and get that 4K. What are you telling them?
I would probably tell my killer here, you know, it can be a little bit rough, but you know, you can do this. We've practiced this map. If you know, if assuming they have, you know, hopefully they have. I would, you know, expect them to. You know, some of them I have seen before in the competitive discords. So, you know, they probably have practiced this map. I would say to them, hey, you know what you're doing. You've done this before. Now do it again. I know you can do it. Just play how you know you have to play.
I put myself on mute. Yes, I would absolutely agree with that because this was only game one. You have 3 more games. Yes, we understand what the point difference is right now, but that can easily be a 180. So if Alter gets in and does some really good killer gameplay, they can quite literally turn this around.
Yeah, I think Alter, you can't count any team out, especially after only one game. And, you know, we already knew Purge's killers are really good, as we've already seen how they've played in last week. So, you know, Alter's probably just thinking, hey, you know, we're fine. We can dust this off. We can come back here. And, you know, making sure that the killer does not, you know, get discouraged, because that's probably the biggest reason why I think most killers tend to struggle in competitive, because, you know, they mind game themselves. And just making sure everybody's got a positive attitude, knowing that they can come back from this. I have seen other teams come back from even larger point differences, so I'm pretty sure they can do it.
Yeah, I think that overthinking, you know, we think mind over matter, you know, is the true difference in how people play or, you know, execute whatever it is that they're doing. Whatever their mindset is going to affect their gameplay. So the killers that go out there and they start to overthink and second guess themselves are the ones that are not going to have great performances. And that's such a hard thing for anybody to really get over and to get over that little hurdle. But it's so important that if you want to have good killer gameplays, you can't psych yourself out. You can't overthink. You just got to go in with the practice that you've already had and the confidence that you know that you can do it. Just go out there and execute. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Just do it.
Exactly. Which I think is probably one of the better pep talks I think I've ever heard. Unfortunately, I haven't heard very many pep talks, even though it could have helped me out a few times.
Well, you know what? I will let you cherish this moment for the rest of your
I'll make sure to clip this later so I can come back to it anytime that I need to hear words of encouragement.
You know, and I've spent time in doing a lot of sports in different areas, doing like basketball, baseball, football, water polo. Um, there are so many like avenues that have the exact same thinking as playing this game when it comes to that. That's crazy to think about for me.
Yeah. But I don't know if what Purge is thinking in this moment. You know, because we've been discussing what is Alter thinking about, you know, and clearly they're encouraging and they're making sure that their killer, you know, doesn't go in with a cloudy mind, you know. But what would Purge be thinking in this moment, knowing that they have 24 points over Alter as of right now?
Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. If you're Purge, you're feeling pretty comfortable. You've got a sizable lead after this first game. However, you have to be prepared if Alter comes out swinging, knowing that they desperately need to make a comeback. There's no time to let your foot off the gas pedal just yet. So they really need to go and Purge does and make sure that they're going to put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I think Purge might be expecting an S tier killer as a way of, you know, thinking we have such a lead right now that, you know, they're gonna bring out a specific killer. They're gonna probably bring out Nurse. They're gonna probably bring out Spirit, you know, and with that, they probably are thinking we've practiced for this moment. They might have actually been preparing to play versus Nurse on this map. I believe this is their home map, so
Yeah, I think that they've played this map a ton, and they're already aware as to all of the things that could occur, and so they're just thinking, okay, we're just gonna do the best that we can. We think that they're gonna bring out either one of these three killers, whatever that may be, especially with this lead. So they probably know if they're gonna go against Nurse, they already know how to play against it because they probably have had their killer play that killer on that map just so that they can see like the potential that it has on Dead Dog.
yeah, and to try and find any possible weaknesses that a killer might have on this specific map and try and exploit them for their advantage, trying to get as many points as possible and, you know, lessen the blow of the S tier killer on a map such as Dead Dog Saloon.
Mm-hmm. Now we are seeing 5 offerings, and I think all 5 bloody blueprints. Everyone brought it. No penalties. We're not going to worry about it. So now we're going to get into the actual gameplay. This is game 2 of Purge versus Alter, with Alter taking the killer slot in this trial. Let's see what they bring out.
Yeah, so this could be oh, I'm actually just getting word now that the -2 point penalty that Alter has received earlier has been returned due to something in the rules that is being explained to me. But it does look like we got to see Purge... sorry, not Purge. We begin to see Alter bring out Pinhead on Dead Dog Saloon.
Interesting.
And already finding the box, the Lament configuration already accessed by the killer.
Oh my god, that is incredibly lucky. I don't know about you, I've never gotten that lucky as a Pinhead. I've never gotten that lucky.
And I think that is really interesting. I've heard of people learning the spawns of the box, but I've never actually seen somebody grab it in the first 5 seconds of the game.
That is incredibly ridiculous. I am quite curious to see how this goes, but we are in a chase. Interesting point of order. We saw an aura of somebody over in this area.
We did, and I'm sorry, wait, is that a different survivor?
And so right now, the person that they're pursuing is the Ace.
Yes, but I believe that they were just chasing the Nancy.
Yeah, I think they were chasing the Nancy and ended up finding the Ace.
Okay, I blinked for 1 second and everything changed. But
yeah, I think that's what happened, and I think because there was an aura ability, I think it could have been an Undying.
Oh no! I do think it might have been Undying. I think we see some hex totems around the map.
Yes, I think so. So we're going to go ahead and put this person on the hook. No gens have been completed yet, so this is a very good sign so far.
And there's the Nancy that we lost from earlier. There's the Ruin that we do see coming in onto the gen.
So already we are seeing an Undying and a Ruin.
And a third perk, which is Thanatophobia. And a gen just popped, but we didn't hear the audio cue for it.
I think we did, but there was so much going on that it kind of diluted that notification.
Ah, okay. Which would then reveal the fourth perk that we see up onto the Gallows gen. It is Deadlock. And I think all of our survivors know what all of the perks are now, as the Lament configuration gets solved for the second time.
I do, and so it looks like this killer is already going ahead and breaking down the door next to that window, because that is such a long loop for the survivors to be taking. So getting rid of that now is perfectly good, and he's in chase with the Claudette right now. Oh, perfect!
Really
perfect.
Good chains.
Oh, a nice little 360 to really throw off the stain and where they're wanting to go. So it's very nice hiding. Unfortunately, not breaking that pallet.
Oh, gets the Pokos through the pallet there.
Never mind. I'll shut up.
And we do see Totem get cleansed in the distance. That's gonna be our Undying here.
Yep, it's gonna be on the Undying, and so they're gonna realize, okay, we still have a Ruin that's up, and so right now this Pinhead is trying to find its next survivor to put on a hook, and we hear the Ruin going off, so we know someone was just on this gen, and that's confirmed because of the scratch marks leading away from it.
And it does look like that's Ace or Serena. I cannot tell from such a distance, but one of them is running over towards Shaq and breaking the door at Shaq there. This is the Ace on the Lament configuration. He's deciding not to pursue and instead to try and push them into second state, but they get unhooked. That's a sprint burst.
Yep, I was about to say, that looks like a sprint burst to me if I ever saw one.
Now, she does have the broken status effect next to her name, which
yes.
can either mean she has... Unfortunately, that does look like it's Deliverance and not Second Win, as I think it would come in right there. Another gen popping, and then the Decisive Strike!
So that probably was Deliverance.
Yes. Because the broken status effect is still next to her name, it is telling us that she still had that it wouldn't have been second wind because second wind runs out after you get downed.
It does. And so it was a good thing that they broke this door next to that window. That's shortening that loop incrementally. But we did hear Ruin going off in the distance.
And then I believe that's the same person solving the lament configuration. They probably had planned this in advance, knowing, oh, somebody's up here, and it's the injured survivor. This is Nancy.
It is. It's the Nancy. Oh, this has huge snowball potential.
She's not. Oh, she wasn't removing the chains, and I believe she started to try and remove them, and because of that, she could not vault the pallet. And we see Claudette get picked up by Zarina. Zarina body blocking the hit.
There's a lot of really good pressure that's being applied right now, because you had two people down. One of them got up and injured another person. So you have two injured people. You're putting this person on a hook right now. And I think with that, there is no more 3-gen potential. They're decently spread out.
These survivors have really been practicing this map, especially because it's their home map. It's all coming together for them as they're playing. They've got these totems down. They've broken up the 3-gen fairly quickly, and they are spreading out like butter on a biscuit.
And you know me, I love me some biscuits.
Then Nancy coming in with the body block.
Yeah, Nancy, that good body block. And give some distance for the Claudette. Oh, very nice chain.
And gets the down before she can remove them or vault into main building.
Oh, they were going to try and apply pressure by using their chains in order to bind somebody working on that main gen, but unfortunately was just a little shy in their aim and wasn't quite able to get it.
That's the second hook for Claudette. Only the fourth hook applied so far, but if there's not a person up there.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I don't know if there was somebody that was up there before, but I thought I heard somebody working on the gen.
I thought so too, but I'm not quite sure. But we do see a gen in the far off distance. You know, already gone, and it looks like they're gonna try and pull the killer away. And they're seeing scratch marks that are nearby, so this pinhead may want to pursue it, but they elect not to.
They're gonna probably push the Claudette into the death state here because the gen next to them is pretty well advanced. And here's the Nancy trying to get in here for the unhook. Can she 1-for-1? Or is this gonna be a grab? Oh, unfortunately for the Nancy, she gets hit through the pallet there. And there's the death.
That's unfortunate. It didn't work out this time. You really did need a second person to try and help.
And this might actually be a down on the Nancy because those chains were so well timed.
Oh!
Unfortunately, that's a miss from the pinhead. Oh, and then Dillard perfectly from the Nancy.
These chains are coming in very well done, and this Nancy is just electing to put themselves into the corner of the map.
Trying to confirm the 2 out for the other survivors, which they've already opened the door. Purge deciding to take the 2 out. From the looks of it, yes, there they go. And that's a total of 7 hooks for the pinhead from Alter, Nico Bolas. And that was an interesting game.
This is someone that plays Magic the Gathering. I recognize a Magic the Gathering player when I see one with their gamer tag. But a 2K 7 hook is a very respectable result. So job well done to them.
Absolutely. I think that was probably one of the better performances both as and against Pinhead that I've seen on that map.
That was very good result for them. So it's a job well done. Alter didn't let off, and they made sure to let Persia know that we're not quite done here. They put up a very respectable score.
Yes, and I think I know the reason why Alter decided to bring Pinhead to Dead Dog Saloon. It's because of Purge's performance last week versus Pinhead on Dead Dog Saloon when they were playing versus Celestials. Alter was thinking to themselves, maybe we can do the same thing.
You know what? That's very smart. That is very smart of Alter if that's what they were thinking about.
I think
But
that's
well done.
probably. I think that's probably their reasoning for bringing Pinhead, which, again, 7 hook states for an M1 killer is not a bad performance.
No, not at all. Especially when you think about this, right? This last match was a 16 to 15 points for this matchup. That is very, very respectable in their own right. And on top of that, this Pinhead was making a lot of really good plays, making some good reads, amazing chains coming out. This was somebody that really knew what they were doing with this particular killer.
I've been told that this person who was just playing killer is actually a Pinhead main, which I think explains why all of the chains were as well placed as they were, and why they found the box in the first 5 seconds of the game.
That's so bonkers. Like, I would not have suspected that, to be honest. But just watching the gameplay, the way that they're flicking the camera views, they looked very comfortable. And someone that looks very comfortable with the killer, they play them a lot. So, bravo to them. They did well. But now it's not a time to let off the pressure just yet. You're still behind by 23 points, and so you have some ground to make up. You kept yourself in a fighting distance, but it all starts in this next game on Temple of Purgation, and this is Alter's alternative home map.
Yes, which is replacing Torment Creek, a map that has not... I don't think we've seen Torment Creek get played on, but there is desync happening on the Coldwind maps, which, unfortunately, it does mean that's why we are going to Temple of Purgation, a map that I personally prefer to Torment Creek. I'm not a big fan of the corn maps. Having Dead by Daylight in the daytime doesn't really feel right to me. But both maps are fairly large. They both have fairly similar spawns, even if they are not in the same location. They both have a road that is pretty good, leading to either shack or main building, which can be really good for certain killers. And yeah, it's only a 23-point difference now. Alter able to make up, I believe, 1 point from that game.
They were able to make up a point, which is still good. So that gives them another game to really figure out if they're able to come back and see what the third game in that result is going to be. If you can just keep closing that gap from this point on, because sure, 1 point isn't that really that big of a deal, but if you can just keep chipping away and you're able to take the dub in the fourth game, hopefully all of that chipping away that you've done for games 2 and 3 has made it even more possible for you to take the victory, especially after that first game.
Yes. And, you know, Purge sitting at 45 points right now. I don't know if that's the most points that we've seen. By the
no.
halftime. But it's half, I believe, of what we've seen the highest score from last week.
Mm-hmm. Actually, in the match between Deadheads and How Did We Get Here, I think Deadheads at the halfway point had almost max points.
I think that's 58, correct? Or something near
Um,
it?
the maximum that a team can get at the halfway point is 56.
56, okay.
30 points for Killer and 26 for Survivors. And I think Deadheads had 52 points.
Wow.
It was something incredibly bonkers.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of teams here putting up really good scores for their first 2 games.
Which is a testament to the teams that are putting in the work, putting in the practice, and having good execution.
Yeah, if I was any of these teams right now, which I am technically playing in it, but if I was one of these teams in this bracket specifically, I would be very proud of myself knowing, hey, you know, even if my team didn't win week 1 or my team isn't going to win week 2, I would say, hey, you know, we've put up a really good fight. You know, we've been playing against these teams that are doing really well as well. You know, these teams that have been showing themselves to be incredibly good. You know, I would be really proud of not only myself, but how everybody on my team is doing. You can't count anybody out. It is only week 2 out of 7.
Yeah, only two out of only 2 out of only 2 out of the 7. Sorry, I got distracted as I'm seeing notifications popping up. But when I look at the matches, especially on a team's like point of view, while the results are obviously what we look for, I look for the bigger picture of improvement. So I'm very much a long con gamer. I'm looking at if we're actually improving and if we're gaining some valuable things that we didn't know about before. And a lot of that comes from playing these incredibly good gamers coming out and just getting good results, having some great mind gaming. I look for the improvement.
I have good news. That was probably the fastest load time I think that we've seen yet. And we see Glowies here playing Blight on Temple of Purgation. We called it, I think. And this is the new skin. So this is pretty cool. I am excited to watch this game. We see a Hex Totem over here. We see a Survivor's Aura. Looks like they're trying to cleanse the totem.
Yep, that would suggest that they were running Undying if they were cleansing a Dole Totem.
We tried to see the Hug Tech there come in from Glowies.
Yeah, it just didn't quite work out, and we are already seeing a totem go out in the distance. Okay.
And that gen has quite a lot of progress on it. 2 survivors were doubled up on it, but I think one of them was probably working on it while the other one was cleansing the totem, and then they both got on it. Quite a lot of progress so far. But
yeah, I think that's what occurred, because I think if 2 people were on it, they probably could would have finished it, but I'm uncertain. The Zarina did throw a power here, and Glowies was able to go ahead and get the Zarina down, and they're going to get their first hook here.
Not a bad spot to get your first hook, I feel. As the top of the map here, from my own experience, I have found can be pretty powerful for Killer. That's a really fast injure on the Nia immediately after getting the hook.
That was very good. I think they knew that because there was more than one person over in this area, Oh, good mind game, and they've already got the shack pallet out. That's a very good mind game.
And in addition, we now know where every survivor is because we just saw a ruin check on the generate here, and we saw this arena get unhooked, which can mean every survivor is either in this part of the map or at the top of the map, which is good information for the killer. Unfortunately, missing the swing there.
And right now, we do see the lorry taking the chase and wasn't quite able to get to the pallet, but they are taking the hit and they're getting momentum to get away, and they're juicing this blight.
And do you see that? That looks like it's a third perk revealed on the side of our screen there.
That does appear to be some sort of tinker that just went off, and the lorry's motioning, yeah, come for me, we got this. And so the lorry's just egging on the blight and gets the down.
Swings while twisting their camera around and gets the down. That is pretty Pocos. It's a rar, if you ask me. As I know some casters would say, that is a rar. I've heard that one from only a few people, but here we go. We already see the scratch marks, and this person with the flashlight, this Michaela, wants to take chase. Oh, she's going for the blind. And continuing to click her flashlight as you can hear it.
All right. I see what they're doing, and unfortunately not able to get the hug tech on the Michaela. They decide to abandon it and go back to the hook. Maybe they're thinking force the next stage, but we see an unhook already happening and taking a BT hit.
So this is probably going to be a tunnel on the lorry. There's another Tinker pop. Our killer's going to decide to continue with the Tinker. Using Blight's mobility here to get an injure before the gen can get finished. That means Tinker will probably proc again on that same exact generator.
Probably. The thing that's really going to be slowing them down is the fact that Ruin still stands.
On a killer like Blight, Ruin can probably be one of the strongest things that you have going for you when you have such mobility on a map that's fairly open like this. Unfortunately, we do immediately hear the Ruin gets cleansed, and there's another Tinker activation on a different gen.
And so I wonder what this Blight is going to do now that they know that Tinkerer has procced, and it looks like they're going to try and continue the chase here to try and get the down.
And that's a good prediction on your part, getting the down 2 seconds after you say it.
Yeah, you know, it's like I have the ability to read minds, and I'm just... Okay, so I need to write down the winning lottery numbers for this upcoming week and go to the gas station and fill that out.
And there's another Tinker on the main building gen. Blight trying to rush to get up there in time. Unfortunately, can't get to it in time. Goes for the swing through the pallet, and unfortunately, the lorry is able to predict it and runs outwards instead. Takes a hit on the stairs, though. Michaela playing really aggressive.
They take the hit. Yeah, this Michaela's really wanting the chase to come in. I'm trying to think, was Michaela the one that did the very first unhook?
I believe... No, that was the Zarina. The Zarina went for the first unhook. But unfortunately for Michaela, they're getting hit around the corner.
Yeah, because I was trying to think, if it was Michaela, them egging on to try and get the... trying to get the chase, I would have thought that they had Deliverance.
They could have had... They might have Deliverance, though, because they might have... I think that they were the person who unhooked the Nia just now. But there's somebody going for the unhook, so probably not. There's the broken status effect, and we do see somebody else unhook them, so that's going to be a second win.
Yeah, so they... Yep, I anticipated them throwing the pallet right there.
Oh, unfortunately, getting a little bit of the rough collision with the tree log, and there's the second wind, putting her into full health.
Yep.
Going for the blind again.
Everyone who knows Steve is just rest in pieces the second wind, which is now known as renewal.
And
It's
there's
just so sad. And two, you were going to point out, two gens with Tinkerer just propped.
she tries to commit to it. It sounds like it's 99% of the way done, but she doesn't get it in time. Instead takes the hit instead of getting grabbed. Very smart on her part. This is the second survivor over here.
And were they able to get it done? Or no, they're heavily in chase right now.
I think that this is the Lori. Because it did sound like we heard somebody who was injured working on the gen. No, there's the Lori in front of us. That might not have been her.
May not have been. I wonder if the Blight is just going to try and patrol this area just to ensure that there's enough regression on that other gen. But it looks like they're finding somebody, but they're just not able to connect on their rushes.
Yeah, the main building can be really rough when you're using your rushes to get inside of there because of where the stairs are located. We see some scratch marks coming towards the gen that is still regressing.
Which is a good sign for Blight, because that means they know that right now, while they wanted to come back, they weren't quite able to, so there was a little bit of regression that happened in that area.
But it's not regressing anymore because the Nia taps on it, and the Blight gets a hit here. Trying to, I think, confirm the down on the Nia next to the gen. Oh, but unfortunately the pallet stunned to get him out of the rush. And
Very well done.
Another rush.
Yeah, going. They were able to get the down. That's the important thing. The Blight was able eventually to get the down again. What they need now is an immediate hook, and they need to immediately go and kick that jet. They just need to, and they need to patrol the area, and hopefully try and get a kill. But we see a Tinkerer off in the distance.
Two Tinkerers happening simultaneously. I don't know if kicking the one gen is the top thing on this person's mind right now. I think our Blight is just going to try and get a kill on the Nia because she is between all three of these gens. And there's the last gen pop. We do not see the haste status effect on the side, so that means that our last perk was not Noed.
Yep, that fourth perk is unknown, so who knows what it could be, but with an unhook, and that unhook, that person had adrenaline, I believe it was.
Yes, because they've already been fully healed, and unfortunately, missing the swing through the pallet onto the Michaela has some rough collision, but then gets the hits through the pallets again.
That was a very good hit. That was a very good rush by that Blight.
Very smooth. And Michaela dead harding through the swing, and they've probably already got this gen open considering there's three of them here trying to body block. Oh no, it's the other gate that's open.
Oh, they were able to get the down, but they could probably, yeah. Oh no!
They get the pickup through the heal tech. I do hear the Nia self-healing herself, though. So, this is the second hook for Michaela. We know that she's the person with second wind. So, this might mean that she's not the person with decisive strike.
Yeah, probably not. So they're gonna hit the Nia and make the Nia go away, so that they can go and heal. You got very good body blocks, and that was a borrow time.
And that's the borrow time for the 4 out, I believe. This is gonna be. This is the 4 out for the survivors. 6 hook states. Really well played from both sides. That is a rough one.
That was very well done, and we are looking at what that fourth perk was. That fourth perk was a Pop Goes the Weasel.
Pop Goes the Weasel with double speed add-ons, which I think is a must on this map for Blight.
Yeah, because that's what, an extra 5% per rush for your speed movement, if I recall.
I believe running both of them together, it is actually 9%. Sorry, no, it's 10% if you run both of them
10%.
together.
Oh, because it's what, 6% for the Blighted Crow?
6% for Blighted Crow and 4% for the Blighted Rat.
God, yeah, those speed add-ons really do make the difference.
Which puts us back at a 31-point difference.
31. With that, that would mean that Purge is going to be taking the victory today. Regardless of what happens in this final game, the most that Alter can get is a total of 58. And with Purge already being at 66, they've already won this match.
Yes. But really well played from both sides. Neither of those maps are easy to play for either role, but they played it very well. They played it very safe, especially on that Temple of Purgation map. Unfortunately, I think Travesty, you are muted here, as I see you trying to talk, but
No, this is a common recurrence. No matter where I am, I forget that I mute myself when I have to like blow my nose or something. Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us. But yeah, that third game was so important as to whether or not they're going to be able to come back for the final game. But unfortunately, it just didn't happen this time, and that's okay. Important thing, Alter did bring out their blight, and that is the only blight use that they will have for this entire season.
that's correct. And using Blight on this map, unfortunately, in the second week, and not getting the, not making up the rest of his points is unfortunate for them. It's unlucky, but, they can still have an amazing rest of the season. We don't know how they're going to play versus any of the other teams. Everybody is expecting very good games from each other. And, especially knowing that some of the people in Alter do have names that we've seen around in competitive before. We expect them to do just as well as Purge, just as well as some of the other teams, Petroleum, Asphyxia. How did we get here? These other teams that are in the same bracket as them, they are probably going to still be putting up just as good of a score throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, don't underestimate your opponents, right? Because that's where you get to be surprised by what they can do. So they're gonna have a very good season on their hands, and it's only week 2, so they got 5 more weeks of gameplay.
Yeah, knowing that there's 5 more weeks, do you know what maps we have in store for Alter for the rest of the season?
For the rest of the season, I don't have that immediately at my disposal, but I can always go to pull it up. It's just going to take me a minute to find that information.
Excuse me.
So they're going to go against Deadhead. So they're going to go against
Groaning Storehouse?
Groaning Storehouse is what's in store for them for week 3. Ironworks of Misery. And how did we get here? Has Gas Heaven.
And then Father Campbell's Chapel and Azhov's Resting Place, I think, for the last 2.
Mm-hmm. So that's very, very interesting.
I would say, for the most part, the awkward maps, being Shelter Woods and Dead Dog Saloon, out of that list, I feel like, for the most part, the awkward maps are out of the way. Ironworks of Misery can be a little bit difficult for Killer, as we've already seen, we saw Asphyxia have a little bit of trouble with Pinhead on Ironworks of Misery because of the size of it.
Mm-hmm.
The size of such a large map like that is almost like it's literally like playing on Ormond because they are the same size. Knowing how large those are with such powerful main buildings can be really
Yeah.
difficult for Killer.
Exactly. It can be very difficult to navigate. So it's going to be a tough road going on now, but there are some other maps on there as well that can make it a little bit easier for them. So I don't think they're going to be too worried about it. I don't think they're going to be too worried about it, but they just kind of have to get through those couple of awkward maps.
Yeah, and Temple of Purgation, they might have to play that 5 more times, but knowing what killers are still good on that map, like, you have 2 more uses of Hillbilly, you have 2 more uses of Oni, granted, some of those killers are good on some of these other maps, but, you can still pull it out here, knowing that, that map is, a make or break. If you're the team that has practiced that map a lot, you will probably come out ahead.
I would agree. I would agree with that. I think everything that you said there was spot on. Now, when it comes to this final match, you're going into it knowing there's no way that you can lose, so you're probably going to use a throwaway killer. I want to hear from the chat. What killer do you want to see in this final game? Are we feeling a Mikey Myers, a Ghostface, or a Legion? I want to see those. Or a Trapper.
We did see a Trapper last time. Looks like we have Q in the chat saying Trickster.
Hey! Trick Daddy
Q wanting Trickster.
Oh, that would be very good. I would want to see that.
I think Trickster is probably a really fun killer to watch. When you watch people who are really good with Trickster play him on maps that you wouldn't normally see him on, I feel like that's where Trickster kind of shines.
Yeah, exactly.
Both from a spectator and a killer point of view.
Now, we did see Trickster come out last week, and I believe it was Remedy versus Mirage, if I remember correctly, on Wretched Shop. And so we did see that on some of the bigger maps, Trickster's 1v1 game can be incredibly strong, especially with the main event.
Absolutely. Main event, if you are going for multiple survivors at the same time, main event can be a great way of doubting them if they are unable to get away from, each other in a relatively quick period of time. But it does look like the chat is calling for Huntress, Clown, and Nurse.
What, Nurse?
I think probably more realistically, we'll see Huntress or Clown. Huntress is actually a killer that I think is pretty good and competitive, even though she's still not favored over some of the other killers. Being able to secure 7-ish hooks for an M1 killer, on almost any map is really good.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good Huntresses appear, and a lot of them seem to appear to bring agitation so that they can get better hook locations to put them in a more advantageous spots for their hatchet throws.
Yes, I think, especially on maps like Temple of Purgation, you'll see a lot of Huntresses, you'll see them bring very similar builds, and they'll try and secure a hook near their 3-gen, because if they can get that, and let's say, usually you see agitation paired with Babushka and Iridescent Head. Oh. If you can get a hook in your 3-gen with Iridescent Head, that probably secures you the win.
Yeah, probably. But I believe in this league, we don't have to worry about it because Eerie Head is not an add on that is allowed. So luckily,
Ah,
we won't see that be the case in this.
we probably will not. Hopefully, we don't, because if it is banned, that's probably not a good thing if we're seeing it in the game.
Yeah, where I believe we do have it as a band add-on for the Huntress. So we shouldn't be seeing that. Babushka, on the other hand, you could play that. So all the Huntress mains out there, just be aware you can bring out your Babushkas. You're fine.
It does look like we are loading in on the wrong map, unfortunately, and our killer is going to DC, and we're gonna try and get that fixed up correctly.
All right, so that was the wrong map. So that does incur, I believe, a 2-point penalty.
Which does mean
Nothing.
that
It doesn't change anything.
it doesn't? Okay, okay.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Oh, okay, because I had forgotten it wasn't a I mixed up the scores of the possible
Of what they could possibly
of what they
get.
could possibly get. Yeah, I switched around in my head the 30 and the 26.
Yeah, 26.
So close enough. Unfortunately, that is not the penalty that Alter was looking for Purge to get.
Yeah, I mean, 2 points is still 2 points. However, Alter can only get a maximum of 58 points. So, all Purge needs to do is just load into the correct map and not incur 2 additional penalties, and they should be fine.
I think that is probably what they're going to try and do here. As long as they don't accidentally bring an S tier that they've already used, which I don't think that they have, and so long as they do not set the wrong map again and bring an add-on or perk that is banned, everything should be going smoothly for them going into the game 4 here.
I can't see it from here. Who is it that's going to be killing? Is it Mr. Dave?
It is Mr. Dave who is going to be killing for Purge.
Mr. Dave, I can imagine them just like shaking in their seat, going, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess this up. Oh, is the map set correctly? Okay, add-ons, I'm good. Okay, hit ready. I hope I did this right. Because the last thing we want is for the team, for them to make a mistake after having a sizable lead already.
All right, we are just getting confirmation here what the procedure is for the killer team having to DC, excuse me, which is good to know that the survivors are in fact allowed to switch up their perks, but the killer is not. The killer must bring the same perks that they brought in on the wrong map.
Yeah, so for those that aren't aware, and if you want to take a look at the rules, you can go ahead and hit !rules in the chat, and a link should be generated in the chat for you to find out what the rule sets are. But when there is a DC, in this very particular instance, the killer had a DC in the first 2 minutes, the survivors are allowed to change up their builds however way they see fit. However, the killer, because they had that DC, is not going to be able to change any part of their build. And so that gives the survivors good information. If they know what the killer has, they can kind of plan around it.
Yes, which sounds like people are starting to ready up. So this can only mean the map has been set or is still in the process of being set, and I don't remember what killer it was. I don't know if we revealed that information or not. If we...
I think we barely I think we may have barely seen it. Like I know what it was, and the chat is gonna know about it very soon.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting play. I think if it's the killer that I think it was, if it's the killer I thought I saw, I think it'll be fun. I don't know if it's the pick that I would bring on Temple of Purgation in general. But I do think that they are... I do think that they are, you know, bringing this as a way of getting scrim practice in. Because, in my opinion, this is not a good map for him. Or her.
It's not really the most ideal map for this particular killer.
Exactly. But, you know, getting practice in is important, and that's why we are still playing out the last game to show sportsmanship between the teams and, you know, give them the same respect as we would give anybody else.
And, you know, it's one more game. And, you know, as you pointed out, this could be very valuable scrim practice for them. And so why not go for it, right?
Yeah, I think going into this is going to be interesting. Knowing, especially because our survivors are going to probably bring different builds than what they brought last time. And here we go. And we see... Mr. Dave is playing the Death Slinger on Temple of Purgation. We see the Corrupt intervention. Doesn't look like it's a split Corrupt.
Not quite sure. I don't think I had a chance to see, but I don't know about you, but I thought I saw somebody hanging out over there, but I'm not quite sure.
Oh, I think I missed it, but I do see this Meg. So does our killer.
This is,
That
go ahead.
has been a fast injure. Getting the shot at the pallet. That is really lucky for the killer, getting a very fast down there, trying to pick up.
Well done. Well done. And Corrupt intervention is not even halfway over at this point, and they were able to get a quick down. So good for them.
Absolutely. And we did see a fast reload there from the killer, which probably is revealing one of our add-ons that we see. And I think that the survivors saw the other add-on when they got shot.
Quite possibly. If you play Deathslinger in comp, there is a very common add-ons that you use with the Deathslinger. One for faster reload speed, and one to make it longer for someone to get out of your chain, out of the spear once the Deathslinger has already shot you. I don't recall the names of those add-ons.
It is Prison Chain and Warden's Keys, and I think I heard a David drop down, but I don't see him.
No, but what we do see is a Michaela. But Mr. Dave decided he's just going to proxy the hook, either force a second hook stage, which is what just happened. And so he's in chase with the David right now, and David with the toolbox is going away. Wasn't able to get the shot, was just able to get around the corner.
And it looks like Mr. Dave is going to be continuing to camp this out, knowing that there's still 5 gens left. I change what I'm saying. There are 4 gens left.
Mr. Dave giving some nodders to the Meg, you know, appreciates a good mask when they see one.
There has already been 30 seconds of progression into the second hook state here.
Yeah, so this survivor has maybe 10 seconds left before they are out of the game.
Unfortunately, that is the first death there for Alter. But fortunately for Purge, that means that there's only 3 survivors left with 4 gens remaining. And we saw the deadlock getting revealed on the main building gen there after the first gen was popped on the other side of the map.
Yes, and we do see The Death Slinger getting into chase with the ace and going for a shot, but just wasn't able to connect. Going for a reload and going to try and get another shot and decided not to take it. But we do see scratch marks on the inside of main, and they neglect to not pursue that.
There's a different gen that's deadlocked now than the one that was deadlocked from the first completion.
So that is giving valuable information that the survivors are splitting up in gen pressure, trying to get different gens done in different locations.
That is an absolutely insane shot from Mr. Dave there.
All right, good shot. I mean, what else do you say? What else do you say to that? And he's just giving the nodders. He knew. He's like, "Yep, I got it." Gonna put him on the hook, and he's gonna check out the generator that was right next to him. It doesn't see anybody.
He's gonna give it a kick, and it does not look like a pop goes the weasel.
Yeah, I didn't see any of those extra sparks and smoke popping up. So it's safe to say that there's no pop goes the weasel. And right now, we only know of 2 perks, so the survivors must be questioning what the other 2 perks may be. Mr. Dave giving some more nodders to the survivor and is either going to force them to second stage or go and check out some other gens.
It does look like our survivors are going to commit to gens now because they knew that the first hook was camped to death. This one is happening to become the same.
And so this is unfortunate for the survivors, but it is what it is. And so I think he's gonna at least get it to second stage at least because he's already so close. And we do see the second stage, and hopefully the survivors are working on those generators. Yep,
which is perfect timing. It doesn't look like Mr. Dave is going to be leaving the hook though. Gonna sit here.
I don't think so. He's creating a lot of pressure just by hanging around the hook. He's forcing those survivors to finish those gens.
And I believe this is the 3 gen actually. If I'm not mistaken, there's a generator in main building, a generator in 3 over there in the corner, and then there's a generator right behind the hook, not too far apart.
It looks like it's not the most ideal 3 gen, but it's somewhat manageable for him. And it looks like the survivor has about 10 seconds left and taking a shot at a crow, but the crow being faster than a spear.
The crow is outplaying our killer here.
GG easy is what the crow would say at the end game collapse.
There's a pop by the Michaela on the gen. I don't think there are any more generators on the top side of the map. That's an injure on the Michaela after getting the shot there.
Yeah, I think now the 3 gen is all that's left, and so Mr. Dave is going into chase with the Michaela at the shack. Was not able to get the shot. It was a nice dodge there by the Michaela, and they're going to keep pursuing in the chase, doing some moonwalks around the corners of shack, and Michaela is taking these long walls. Oh, but the final gen was able to get done.
I've actually just been informed as well. They actually finished main building earlier in the game. And there's actually the reveal of the 3rd perk and a 4th perk. We see No Way Out get activated, and we see the haste status effect on this side of our screen.
And for those that are keeping track, if there is a haste status effect that pops when the 5th gen is done, that can mean the one and only No One Escapes Death is the final perk for Mr. Dave.
Oh, and there's the cleanse on the Noed.
Well done.
Very interesting. And it looks like actually the Michaela had adrenaline. As somebody was pointing out in chat, somebody said Michaela had adrenaline, but she had it to mend. So instead of healing her, it just fixed the deep wounds. And there's a down on the Michaela, unluckily right next to Shaq and not near an exit gate. And this is probably going to be a 3rd kill.
Probably going to be a 3rd kill. Now, what we do know is that No Way Out only had 2 procs, or they only had 2 tokens, and and by that, there was only 36 seconds. The fourth survivor opened the exit gate, and they're probably going to take the out.
And there's the out on the fresh hooked survivor, David, getting out there. And that has been an interesting game, with the killer choosing to camp the first 2 hooks to completion.
So that was a job well done. It was very good finding that totem, because I think that was on that little staircase in Maine, going up to that second floor. I
Oh,
think that's
okay.
where that totem was. So it was good knowledge of spawn locations.
Incredibly well played. Survivors really knowing how to easily assess what perks the killer has and, play with what they are given. The killer playing very smart and very safe, knowing about the strengths of the Deathslinger and taking advantage of them.
Definitely so. So this was a very good performance. I know the score doesn't quite dictate how good of a match it was, but Alter came out with a pretty good showing. But Purge, congratulations, you picked up the dub this week, and hopefully next week you're able to carry on that momentum into week 3 and week 4, and we're going to see what happens.
Absolutely. And I'm not certain, but I believe we are going to have an interview lined up in a little bit with one of the players from Purge.
All right, so hopefully we find out very soon who's going to be joining us.
And we're now just seeing... sorry about that.
Go ahead.
We're seeing the final score come in here at 85 for Purge and 45 for Alter after 4 wonderful games played by both teams. Dead Dog Saloon and Temple of Purgation were the 2 maps that were played. We saw Purge. We saw Purge bring out Plague, and then Alter follow up with Pinhead and Blight, and then back to Purge for the Deathslinger.
This was a job well done. So congratulations to the teams. They did very well.
Yes. I think that this is going to be a fun one to tell other people about, because of, even though, some of these games didn't have the most ideal of outcomes, they were still incredibly well played. And actually, talking about our killer from last game, we have Mr. Dave in the chat. Mr. Dave, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello.
I'm Mr. Dave. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, mate. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Okay, you just said mate, so obviously I do have to ask, are you Australian by any chance?
I am not.
Okay. Well, I heard the mate, so, I had to ask. But congratulations in your win this week versus Alter. How is the team feeling about this victory?
They kind of want to kick me for my performance in that last game, but we move from that. It's questionable bringing out the Deathslinger, but basically, right. The aim was just to turn into some sort of phase, but it just didn't go my way. They didn't want to give me the shots.
Yeah, you know what? Alter did not want to get you the shots. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about was your choice in the Plague on Dead Dog Saloon, and so tell us why you guys decided to go with that particular killer on that map.
Well, Plague tends to be a nasty killer in terms of 3 gens in the desert side of the map. But obviously, the way the game was going, I never ended up having the desert 3 gen. I had a 3 gen sort of main side, didn't I? Over in the corner where. So I just sort of held my hooks there, and they just kept giving me more power basically. So just escalated from there.
you also got really lucky with the both of your pools of corruption being near your 3-gen, which was probably one of the best things you could hope for as Plague.
Yeah, when I saw that, when I spawned in, I was saying to the guys that I've had good luck here, so I'll certainly take it when it's coming.
And so that first game with the Plague was very well done, and I was looking for the 3-gen over by the Gallows, and then ended up saying that you actually had it at main. And with the RNG, with the hooks being so close to that 3-gen, it made it incredibly good for you to be able to defend it and get as much value off of your pools as you could.
Oh yeah, for sure. Normally I don't get anywhere near as lucky with pools when I practice the Plague and like scrims with the boys, but today it went my way and I'm grateful for it.
Did you also play Survivor in these games?
I did. I played the Dead Dog Survivor against the Pinhead.
So talk to us about the comms that were happening, because I think you guys knew off the bat that you were going against a Pinhead that seemed pretty comfortable.
Yeah, after our last performance against a Pinhead, I didn't play last week, but after the performance we were sort of expecting one, so we just sort of went into the game with the same attitude as we did going against the first one, and we just sort of kept the killer away from the box, but obviously because the killer's so like a Pinhead main, they were saying in the chat, they were finding the box quite frequently, so we just had to try and work around that when we could. But in the end, we ended up getting some consistency going, and it worked out for us. We got the 2 out.
Was it pretty calm in the chats, or was anybody panicked by how the gameplay was going in that Pinhead game?
What, in terms of our Survivor team?
Yeah, in terms of the Survivor team on Dead Dog.
Oh yeah, Abs. So Abs, he was a bit of a shaky one, but he's a bit of a rat anyway, so.
Well, it sounds quite amazing that, everything has been going pretty smooth, figuring out, what you could improve on from last week's Pinhead performance and apply it to this week's performance versus Pinhead on Dead Dog Saloon. The exact same map versus the exact same killer. Do you think that maybe the other team saw what happened and they were like, maybe they'll make the same mistakes, maybe we can do the same thing?
Oh, 100%. We knew straight away after that game the performance was poor from the Survivor side, so we knew that people would take in that our Cenobite game was weak, and we probably was going to expect one this week. We didn't actually practice against one, but we sort of expected it anyway, but just took the risk, and the risk paid off. We had the consistent comms which we needed and made sure that none of us lost our heads.
That's really good to hear, especially because you just said you didn't actually practice versus Pinhead. So being able to see that improvement from a team versus a killer, which is what we were talking about at the start of the stream. We were talking about, what the thing about leagues is, you get to see the improvement of every single team, every single week, and seeing, just the way that you guys are evolving, and, I'm excited to see, how you guys are playing in week 7, because if these first 2 weeks are any sort of indicator, this is good news.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hold you on that a minute. I reading the chat, it come back to my mind because I wasn't actually playing. They played one game against the Pinhead. I remember K9 played him, just to shut them all up. I remembered.
And so, very very quickly, just want to go ahead and bring up the fact your Deathslinger game on Temple. The Poco shot through the windows.
Yeah, I basically had a bit of motivation going into that shot. I won't say what I got asked, but let's just say, without what that person said, I would never have hit that shot.
Oh, because like I was looking at that shot and I was going, "There's no way." It was like a pixels away from missing, and it was just beautiful pinpoint shot.
Perfectly
you.
timed as well.
Now, if the scores were different and they were a little bit closer, would you have still played Deathslinger, or would you have played a different killer?
I wouldn't have played Deathslinger. There was another killer in mind, but
Oh,
I thought I'd just have some fun with him.
okay, got you.
Now, without revealing too much of your future strategy, is there anything that we could look forward to from Purge or from you specifically in the coming weeks in Entities Arena?
Well, there's certainly some more impressive killer games to come. Not from me personally. K9 is also a very good killer himself, as you saw last week. So certainly look out for some more impressive killer games from him. And same for our survivor side. I think all the way through, like, we all treat each other the same. Occasionally we obviously have to laugh, but like all around the whole Purge team, I think me and the guys we all think we're better than what we are. So I think we'll certainly give a performance for everyone, and I think it'll go the right way for us this season anyway.
That's wonderful to hear. Do you have any closing words that you want to add? Like maybe a statement to the listeners or a statement to the opposing team?
Wow. I said GG's in the general chat to entities, and I had a nice comment from Sleepy. I just want to apologize to him, and there is no hate. I was just having a bit of a laugh in that game. I'm sorry that you took it the wrong way. But apart from that, good luck in everyone else's games.
Well, that is wonderful to hear. Thank you for coming in to the interview room, and we hope that you have a wonderful few more weeks in Entities Arena.
Thank you. I'm sure we will have a good time.
Now, as we are ending up here, we are going to mention congratulations to Purge, 85-45 in Purge versus Alter on Dead Dog Saloon and Temple of Purgation. Travesty, do you have anything to add?
It was just very good games from start to finish. And I look forward to what Purge is going to be doing in their future games. They said, watch out for K9 because they got some killer games up their sleeve. So I'm looking forward to that.
I will say next week next week's the week you wanna be watching.
All right. Well, that sounds like it's gonna be pretty entertaining. Do you are you able to fill us in on anything like really quickly before?
I just Entity best get screaming. That's all I can say.
All right. Well, Entity, you've heard that. Those are fighting words. They want to meet you at Entities Arena next week. And good luck, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Entities Arena. We have another game tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to stick around. Travesty, do you have anything to add?
I do not. I will see all of you at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our next game.